We're going to be doing something a little bit different. This is going to be a bit different of a fucking episode because instead of covering a bunch of fucking videos that we get through for like 10 seconds and then talk about for 20 minutes, we're going to... I decided that I was going to research a few topics. We're going to be talking about the Green Party, Howie Hawkins, and the Green New Deal today. I could have easily probably done an entire episode on each of these things, but I feel like they're all connected enough that I feel like it would string together in a pretty cohesive episode. There's a lot of people who don't give a shit about the Green Party who might care about the Green New Deal. I mean, that's not just something that, Green Party people are advocating for now. Like, now that's something that have reached, like, a lot of people who are progressive in the Democratic Party, like AOC.
So it took Joe Biden being the front runner for people to entertain the prospect of voting for a fucking third party.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I feel like there's a good history to the party, and I guess I can just start by getting into the first thing I have here. Looking into the Green Party, it was actually really fucking confusing to me, because I thought that this was a really fucking new party, founded in 2001, so it's not even 20 years old yet. But there was another Green Party, which was called... Okay, so the main Green Party, which we have now, is called Green Party of the United States, and there was another Green Party before that, which was called Green Party USA. It's basically the same.
It sounds like a fucking a magazine that would cover like weed news stories. Like, it doesn't sound like an actual political movement.
A lot of people just call it the fucking Green Party though, but most people don't know that there was one before this. Like, there's actually a huge fucking history in the Green Party of like a lot of competition between like the more liberal minded people in the party and like more socialist minded people. Like, there's a lot of socialist minded people in the Green Party, and that was kind of the reason that there was sort of a rift to begin with. The current Green Party we have is them trying to kind of like, get all the green organizations together, which were kind of disenfranchised with each other at the time. So, and yeah, the thing is that they also existed at the same time for a while. So yeah, that first one that I mentioned too, the Green Party USA, that actually wasn't even formally disbanded until last year. They were just like, even though we haven't done anything for like 20 years, we're just gonna fuck off now.
It's like deleting like a shitty old Facebook page you made back in like 2007.
I've done some of those recently.
Yeah, dude, it gets like one sad react from one person who's like, no, and then nobody else gives a shit, even though it had like 700 likes. Yeah, I've been there, man. Yeah. I think a lot of people have been there. Yeah.
Yeah. So Green Party USA, rest in peace.
Yep. Rest in peace. Formally last. It's weird that they did it last year. They didn't even do it in the last election cycle or like during this year. Like, they did it last year of all times. They didn't even do anything official. They just sent out a fucking email apparently to like the people who were supporting.
So they're not even like holding an event like in honor of the people who found it. Like, there's nothing going on at all. It's just like an email. Like, which I can guarantee you, like, that it arrived in like half the people's fucking spam inboxes. There's no way it actually like reached every person.
No, because apparently those emails were only gone. I think they only went out to people who like supported them still financially. So basically, like, have you ever like forgot to like unsupport someone on Patreon and you're just like, I don't even watch their content anymore.
Yeah,
but
I've lost like fucking $100 by just supporting a bunch of people who don't even make content anymore.
Yeah, dude, I've done that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically what these people did, and they were like, holy shit, I didn't know I was wasting all that money the entire time.
I mean, to be fair, that's most of the people who still support me on Patreon.
The reason why, like, there was such a rift between those two parties for a while, most people that, seem to think that it's because the GP USA, they didn't really care about elections. They were more of like an activist group. They, did like fundraising events and shit like that. Like, they tried to, do other types. They didn't really seek trying to get into office, basically. They didn't even give a shit about that. And the current Green Party, even though they aren't extremely successful at that, in fact, they haven't even had a role in federal government yet, only local offices. But at least they've actually tried to get some fucking people to make a fucking change in local governments and shit. The Green Party USA was trying to be a political party without actually being a political party. It was just like an advocacy group, which is kind of sad.
Wow. So... off to a rough start, I'd say.
Yeah, basically this political party wasn't even a fucking political party. Apparently there was like some power grab that the GP USA, which is just what I'm going to call like the first party going forward. Apparently there was some huge rift like in 2001, and that's what led to the creation of the Green Party that we have today, because apparently there was like some, I don't know, there's political corruption in the fucking early on Green Party, so they had to start another one. Seems like the current Green Party has done a lot better job in at least the last 19 years.
Yeah, it's funny to me that like you have these two monolithic parties that have like, had a stranglehold on the political system for so long, and that fact alone is used like to explain why the Green Party makes sense, but it's also used to explain why not supporting the Green Party makes sense. Like, you know, because people say like they have no chance of fucking winning.
It's a circular logic.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, they're not going to win because nobody supports them, and nobody should support them because they can't win.
That's not just used against Greens and Libertarians. That's also used against Bernie Sanders, which I think a lot of people learn the hard way. So that's why I don't understand why so many people still fall for this idea. Like, I'm not going to vote for somebody who can't win, you know? I
mean, people made the same argument against voting for Trump, though.
It's the idea that, oh, yeah, you can't win. It can't happen because it's never happened before, so therefore it's never going to happen. We see shit happen all the time that's never happened before.
You guys remember when there was news media outlets in 2015 or so, like pushing out these news stories saying, oh yeah, Trump's got a 2% chance to win.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people didn't go out and vote because they thought that Hillary had it in the bag.
Wow.
Yep.
And it's funny because like a lot of those news media organizations later went on to like shun the American people for not voting for Hillary. It's like, you fucking told them she had it in the bag. What are you fucking talking about?
And now they're shaming people for not voting for Biden, who, like, you know what happened? Like, back in 2016, I was like, you know, that Hillary or Clinton, that was a terrible choice, but there's no way they could possibly pick someone worse down the line. Like, no one's can be worse than Hillary Clinton. Like, she's the worst that it gets, right? And then they pulled out Joe Biden. I'm pretty sure that, other than fucking Bloomberg, Biden was the worst when it came to the fucking corporatists that the Democrats were pushing up this fucking election cycle. But that's just how the fucking chess fell. That's probably not even the one that they wanted.
Oh, and as speaking of which, I'm going to make a prediction on this show. Joe Biden is going to pick Kamala as his VP. It's going to happen.
Well, he did say it would be a woman.
It's definitely going to be a woman. I mean, like, you know, that's something that, like, it's a virtue signal move they have to make at this point.
It actually,
so it's going to be
Elizabeth Warren, his wife, isn't it?
No,
I 100% believe that. That's why she never talked about endorsing Bernie. That's why she never endorsed Bernie. She wants that vice presidency, and they're going to give it to her because they want to fuck over Bernie Sanders and his image as much as fucking possible.
I don't think they're going to reward Elizabeth Warren in that way.
They will. Oh, yes, they will, because they know that can fuck with the progressives as much as possible. They want that rift between the progressives, man.
Okay,
what's stopping them?
But the problem is, though, because Elizabeth Warren didn't drop out when they wanted her to, and didn't support Biden.
She won them the fucking primary by not dropping out when she did.
It didn't hinge on her. In fact, it was more Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar dropping out. Her dropping out did have something to do with it. It did.
She split the fucking progressives.
She did.
It's true.
The establishment still views her as a progressive. Because to the establishment she is. The establishment still views her as radical on certain issues. Especially when you know that there's a good chance Biden might drop out and let his VP succeed him. So I think it'd be probably someone more like Amy Klobuchar.
And she proved by not endorsing him that she doesn't stand by those ideas, that she's willing to be bought and paid for. So it's just telling about her character. You don't think she's going to have made that offer at least? I think so.
Here's a scenario that probably blows in the face of everything I just said, but here's a scenario that I could see maybe being a possibility. I mean, there is the fact that, hey, Bernie Sanders refused to support Elizabeth Warren as a fucking VP. That could either mean that he doesn't view her as a progressive, or that he doesn't want the establishment to view her as a progressive.
I think it more has to do with her accusing him of being a sexist.
No, that's probably that probably is. But I'm just putting on my conspiracy theorist hat for a second and saying, hey, how do we know that Bernie isn't trying to do just that? Make it look like, yeah, okay, I'm against her. She's not on my side. We're enemies, and she's not a progressive. So that Joe Biden might pick her as a VP, so that there actually could be a more progressive president. Now that's just pure speculation, but that's the point. Anything is fucking possible, and we don't fucking know. There's a number of fucking possibilities. The thing is, I don't think the establishment is going to fall for that. I don't think they like Warren enough, but I do think Amy Klobuchar, for someone like Biden and his interests, would be a much safer bet. At least from where they're coming from. Now, Warren, from a practical sense, because, yeah, I would actually get, you see, if they were smart, maybe they would pick Warren, because, yeah, I would get the young people more of the young people on that side.
No, it's not smart. It's conniving. It's fucking conniving, and there's nothing more conniving than the Democratic Party right now.
I mean, look, I'd rather have though Vice President Warren than Vice President Klobuchar.
I mean, sure.
And I'd rather have President.
Man.
I'd rather have President Warren than President Biden or President Klobuchar. So
I mean, sure, yeah.
If that's how it turns out, I guess it's better than fucking Biden, but it's still a shitty situation.
No, it's not. It's not.
If Biden drops out and gives to...
It's going to cause this irreparable wound among, like, progressive-minded voters that'll never repair.
Well, I don't know. It depends how Bernie handles it at that point. She's my very good friend, and she called me a sexist, but hey, you know, she's a wonderful person and she would never lie.
Except for, her being Native American.
I'm not gonna get down in the mud or anything like that. Okay, let's keep it to policy.
When that fucking happened, I thought to myself, like, the Native Americans, haven't they fucking suffered enough? Like, without Elizabeth Warren pretending to be one of them?
She probably viewed it as, hey, I'm doing them a service because now they have a fucking, voice.
Yeah,
that's...
dude.
I bet she looked at it that way, dude.
Anyway, so Green Party.
So yeah, this kind of plays into the whole this whole argument that people shouldn't vote for the Green Party kind of started in 2000 because there was the election between George W. Bush and Al Gore, and Ralph Nader was notoriously villainized, managed to gain about 3% of the vote. That was huge progress, and keep in mind that it takes 5% of the vote to get on the debate stage. So that was a lot of fucking progress back then. So basically, people tried to spin Nader as the spoiler because he got a decent chunk, or not. I guess it's not that much, but for a third party, it was a lot. Because it goes to show that Democrats trying to put their failures on progressives is nothing new here in America. Jill Stein didn't get jack shit in 2016, but people still call her a spoiler that lost Hillary the election, when that's not the case at all. It's just not.
It's funny because like most people are willing to acknowledge the fact that like this two-party system is not a good idea. And as soon as like anyone outside of that realm enters the arena and they're like, hey, I'm this like semi-independent third party person. It's like, you fucking spoiler, ruining our election, grabbing these votes.
This view from both parties, but a lot more so from the Democratic Party, especially lately. I mean, let's be honest. Most Republicans don't really give a shit. They're like, vote for. You want to vote for Biden? Go vote for Biden. You want to vote for Trump? Vote for Trump.
You know what I'll say? I will say this. I just want to say this real fast.
Yeah.
I don't see nearly as many Republicans shitting on the Libertarian Party.
That's true. But no, that's what I'm saying. That the Democratic Party is especially guilty of this, and what it is, they're extremely fucking if they feel entitled to people's votes, they think, oh, what you're not a Republican, so you're voting for us. And it's like, well, motherfucker, maybe I'm not with you or against you. Maybe I'm gonna vote for you if your values align with mine, and maybe if they don't, then I'm not gonna bother. Maybe that's how it is, and I don't owe my vote to anybody. I mean, I'm not an American voter, but as an individual, you don't owe your fucking vote to anybody. Your vote doesn't belong to the Democratic Party, and I'm so sick of this. And I just want people to remember, when you're thinking of you're going to vote Green Party, or you're going to not vote, or you're going to write someone in like Bernie, or just remember that the Democratic Party does not own you. They don't owe you anything. You don't owe them anything. In fact, what have they done for you recently? What have they actually done for you recently? They took away our preferred candidate. They talked about us.
Yang. Sorry.
All our preferred candidates. The DNC knew who they wanted from the start. It's like my fucking analogy from that video I put up on Darké Corruptions. You know, your mother comes in and asks you, hey, do you want chicken? What do you want for dinner? And you say, oh, I want lasagna. And it's like, no, you don't. You want chicken, right? Fuck you for thinking you get a choice. You don't get a choice. We weren't actually asking you.
I just want to bring this up because this is really relevant to this conversation. But I get this. I've had this argument recently on Twitter with someone, and someone said, "No, this election cycle. You don't want Trump to appoint more fucking Supreme Court judges, do you? This is the one election. Like after this, we can start having the conversation about third parties. This election is too important." But they don't understand. That's the argument that's going to be made until the end of fucking time.
Every election that
and it goes on and on.
By the way,
it never ends.
Can I just give my response to that? Okay,
it's a never-ending story. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's how I look at this. Okay, because we live in a country with a fucked up political system called the Electoral College. that no one quite understands how it works, but everyone fucking hates it and wishes it was gone.
Okay, I'll explain. It's there to subvert democracy.
Yeah,
If the people are a bit too fucking crazy with their democratic ideas, the Electoral College is there to preclude that from having any effect.
Look, we're in a country where your vote matters depending on what state and district you live in. So here's how I look at it, okay? If you're actually afraid of the judges that Trump is going to elect, then if you are in a purple state or you're in a swing state that might go fucking red and you're actually afraid of that, go vote for Biden. But that really is the only justification I can see to vote for Biden. If you live in a solid blue state and you weren't going to vote for Biden anyway, or you live in a solid red state and it's not going to make a fucking difference, then vote however the fuck you want. Vote for the fucking third party or fucking write-in or whatever you want to do. We know the third party probably isn't going to fucking win, but you know what? The more votes behind it, the better it looks. And if it gets up to fucking 5%, which, hey, it's a long shot. It can get closer and closer every fucking election cycle. Vote for that. It gets fucking 5%, then it gets fucking federal funding.
The more that percentage grows, especially like when it gets to a point, it's gonna be like a fucking cavalcade of people coming to this realization that yes, we can vote for a third party and make a difference, grow this movement and grow this party and grow diversity of opinion in this country.
Absolutely, because the more people that vote for it, the more of a percentage it gets every election cycle, the more people will see. If you can show there is actually an upward trend in voting for third parties, and show people, look, this is actually becoming viable. You don't have to choose the giant douche or the turd sandwich. You don't have to choose the shit sundae or the vomit milkshake. Okay? You can fucking go outside of the two fucking shitty options you're given and throw your support, the little bit of political power you have, behind another party.
They want to fool you into believing that a little bit, but
the thing, they're making it. It's true, they're making it a little bit of power because when you vote for just like, oh, I'm just going to throw my vote away for Biden or Trump or whatever the default person is, that is making your vote count less. Because it's just another vote in the sea of voters for the fucking two establishment parties that everyone votes for anyway. I know there's a huge amount of the country that doesn't vote. I don't know if it's a majority, but
it actually is a majority.
It is. A majority of the country doesn't vote, guys. And you're saying, guys, think about what that means. That means, okay, let's assume 50% of the fucking country is voting. 50% of eligible voters are voting. Half of them are voting Republican. Half of them are voting Democrat. Another fucking 25% of the country were to vote Green Party. That would that could split the vote in like 3. You get what I'm saying, okay? There's a lot of people that don't vote, and if they did vote for a third party or for one of these other options or something, you know, maybe they would be viable. So don't sit there
but I think you should bear in mind, though, like, we know that, you know, in some states... No, not that. I mean, like, we know that in some states, like, these voting machines have been just fucked with by the people holding those votes.
Well... I mean,
I mean, like, you know, for like a new party to pop up and question the status quo and say, hey, I just don't see them allowing that.
We just see change in local elections first. We just start off like small level and then you build them up.
Okay, but look at what happened. I mean, like they fucking did everything in their ability to ruin his name.
Yeah, because he worked within a fucking corrupt political party. And
imagine what happens when someone questions that and they try to step outside the box.
If Bernie had run third party, I don't know how things might have turned out differently. Maybe he could have gotten I don't think he would have won this election. Maybe he could have gotten some more traction. Maybe he could have gotten... You know what he might have been able to actually accomplish? He might have actually been able to accomplish pushing that fucking... third party vote over 5%.
No, I don't even think it's a fucking question. He could have gotten the Greens on the debate stage.
Now, he wouldn't have won, though. I think he did probably have a better chance of winning the Democratic, although it was still a huge fucking hurdle. And I mean, the DNC did everything to stop that, but...
And here's the thing, like, Bernie, as much as I love the guy, like, he made so many mistakes on this election cycle, and I find it funny because I didn't actually pull this. It's not on my notes or anything, but Howie Hawkins, who's the presumptive nominee for the fucking Green Party nomination at this point, because they do have their own primary and shit. He wants to have a conversation with Kyle Kalinske, and I didn't see if he accepted it yet. He really should.
Dude, that is awesome because, like you guys were saying, and like I've seen a lot of people say, and I've been saying, this is what should have been happening with Bernie. I don't know why the fuck I don't know why the fuck Bernie Sanders didn't have his little 10-minute conversation with Kyle and be like, this person is brilliant. I need to fucking have more conversations with him. I don't get it. I know there were people in Bernie's campaign that were fans of Kyle. I don't know why Kyle wasn't I'm sorry, Kyle should have been more involved in Bernie's campaign. Absolutely.
My assumption is that it has to do with Kyle being so critical of people like Joe Biden.
I don't know.
They don't like that. Like, if you listen to the way Bernie answers any kind of like softball question, where it's like, well, some people say that Joe Biden did this or said that. It's like, maybe he did. I don't know. He's my friend.
Okay,
you.
Bernie has surrogates like Nina Turner who are very outspoken against Biden, Warren, and all those fuckers. Like, have you heard Nina Turner? Like, she's fucking gone right after fucking Biden. Like maybe she's not gone after him as hard as Kyle has, but that's the thing. Bernie could have easily used the same thing of like, look, this person doesn't speak for me. This person can say what they fucking want. That's their opinion. Okay?
It all comes down to the core of the issue that they needed to go after Biden more, I think.
They did.
And I think definitely Bernie could have used a bigger social media presence. I think Kyle could have been a big part of that.
His social media presence is pretty solid, but it's not comparable to like Yang. Yang had.
I'm talking about like within the context of the year is 2020. I mean, like at this point you have to maximize that. Television ads are only going to push you so far. I mean, like we saw that with Bloomberg, and Yang called that. He knew that it would eventually be ineffectual.
Yeah, there needs to be more support for new media. I don't know why Bernie should have been having interviews with Kyle Kalinske, the Young Turks, Jimmy Dore, whatever, whoever, like Tim Black, people like that. He should have been going to these small fucking lefty fucking YouTubers. And by the way, I agree with TJ was saying recently that what these YouTubers need to do, what these small left-wing fucking news outlets need to do is start a fucking coalition, fucking group together and start some sort of network and try and grow and be taken more seriously, because people like fucking Ben Shapiro and fucking Steven Crowder are fucking taken pretty seriously by the right wing. But you don't see that on the left wing. We have these small fucking news channels and no one pays attention. Rising is another good one. No one pays attention to them. They're not given the attention. I mean, yeah, they'll get some good guests. I mean, Rising gets some fucking decent guests from time to time, but that's about the biggest, like, and they're not even lefty because they're like they try to be non-partisan. They have their hosts are a right-winger and a left-winger, so that doesn't even count. Like, we need more of this. We need more fucking, if not left-wing, then at least non-partisan or like, we need more small fucking media. It's so important.
That's why we're doing this.
I mean, like, we've seen that people are willing to set aside their differences. We saw that with Yang's base of supporters. You had conservatives, liberals, independents, even libertarians, even though like he proposed UBI, which many would argue is like a big government kind of idea. Still had like a fairly dedicated following of people who were like, hey, we're going to set aside our differences and consolidate.
I don't want my government to be big. I want it to be thick.
Can I just say, I'm sick of the big government argument. You know what? The government is going to be big, and the government is only going to grow. So you know what?
Yeah, I mean, by definition, to govern means to control by force. Yeah. So, I mean, like, what do you think? This organization that it calls itself the government is going to be like, hey,
I want a small government. Oh, yeah, okay, a small government.
It should not even like be about the fucking size of government. It should be about the fucking functionality of it.
Exactly. It should be about, look, the government is going to be in control. What do we want them actually doing? What do we want them doing with the resources and the fucking taxpayer money that they have? Like, how do we want them using that? That's what it should be about.
Funding the military even more.
Killing brown people overseas. Bombing
Bomb,
brown
bomb,
people.
bomb, 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 Iran.
Anyway,
It's funny, like an actual fucking politician went up on stage and sang that, and people were like, "Yeah." Like, what the fuck?
Bomb, Iran.
I don't know. I think people should vote third party. If you want to vote for the Libertarians, that's fine. I have a friend who wants to vote Libertarian. I'm not really all about them. I guess I guess I'll see who wins their nomination. Maybe it'll be someone actually decent, but I do intend to vote for the Greens unless something weird happens. But all right, as of 2016, I couldn't get any more recent numbers than this, unfortunately. Probably just because we'll get our numbers again this year. There were about 143 office holders total affiliated with the Green Party in the United States, though they were all mostly positions in the local government. As a Green Party nominee has never been elected to the federal government. And I do want to bring this up because it's not related to the Green Party, but the Libertarians made a stride recently, apparently, because they actually got a position in the federal government. I'd have to look into it. We can probably do an episode on the Libertarian Party eventually, and I'll get into that more.
Did fucking Adam Kokesh become mayor of New York? What the hell happened?
No, they got into the federal government, not a mayorship or anything. So that
Oh
means,
shit!
yeah.
Wow. All right, cool.
That I believe that's history. They made history. So,
hey, Libertarians, congratulations! You actually did something.
Yeah, good for them. Maybe they'll accomplish something good this election cycle. Maybe they'll inch their way closer to that 5%.
Maybe they use like the typical libertarian argument where it's like, you're actually a libertarian, you just don't know it. They use the one of us gobble gobble argument that they always fucking trot out in online discussions.
I don't agree with this personally, but some people would make the argument that it's better for the Libertarians to get up there on that debate stage first because they'll be able to split up the conservative vote, which I don't really agree. I don't like that type of logic because I'm not super big on getting Democrats into office just for the sake of it.
I don't disagree with that because there's another thing to that as well. That sets a precedent for third parties being taken more seriously. That's the thing. If their party actually gains some traction, and one, they'll split up the conservative vote. Two, it'll set a precedent for, and maybe even because the fucking conservative vote is split, the establishment will be more willing to let the fucking Green Party be a thing. Be like, okay, well, no, we need this rebalanced. Okay, fine. Let's have another liberal party as well.
We have a center-right party and we have a center party, which isn't actually centrist.
Classical.
Classical liberal.
I want people to understand, like, 2024, if the Libertarians do well this election cycle, we'll be living in a world without Donald Trump, and there's no one who can replace him if you like him or hate him. So, I mean, a lot of those people who voted Trump, they really don't fucking like people like Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush and shit. They fucking hate those people. A lot of Trump.
All right, it's official. Vote Adam Kokesh now. Is he still running for president? Because I remember people talking about that for a.
Want to know something crazy? There's one less delegations than fucking Vermin Supreme. By the way, Vermin Supreme said he'd be interested in coming on the show someday. So
damn, dude.
Yeah. We could have. It could be an interesting conversation.
Come on our show.
Let us know, Vermin. Audience. Let us know. Do you want to see that? Yes or no?
Vermin Supreme.
This is the part where I think a lot of people will get apprehensive. So the Green Party follows what they describe as 4 pillars of green policies, which are as follows: ecological wisdom, grassroots democracy, nonviolence, and here's the one that's going to piss people off, and social justice.
Can I just say, I'm for social justice, okay? And while I will admit, out of the 3 of us, I'm probably the more SJW out of all of us. I'm not an SJW, but I'm for social justice. And if you're using if you're using the term right,
sorry,
to mean like actual social justice, yes, I want a society where everyone's treated equally. I don't want black people to be disproportionately fucking harassed by police. I don't want Mexican people or Latino people to have to fear for their lives because of immigration or ICE bullshit. I don't want women to have to worry about their reproductive rights. The idea of social justice has been so tainted by these social justice warriors who probably don't even understand what the idea of social justice means themselves.
But to me, it doesn't even seem like a lot of those people are in favor of justice. It seems like they're just vindictive.
Yeah, that's why. That's why if someone actually does talk about true social justice, I'm not gonna blame that. I'm never gonna blame someone for using a word by its intended definition and saying, no, this is what I mean by this, and I actually hold to these values. Like, this is what I believe in, and I'm not gonna let other people fucking taint that. And I can kind of respect that. So I'm just gonna say, like, the idea that social justice is a bad word, no, it's not. It's actually something we need to strive for. But a lot of people take it too fucking far. They take it to identity politics and oppression.
It's kind of like
Olympics.
implied when you talk about, you know, like liberty and justice for all.
Right, but well, yes, but do the fucking conservative or liberal parties, Republican and Democratic parties, even come close to fighting for that? You kind of do have to put it in your platform these days. Especially
it's a pithy
in this
saying
country.
that's been around for a long time.
These 4 pillars existed long before social justice warriors.
I mean, like, you could have fucking asked, like, you know, the Chinese Americans in the 40s, like, how do you feel about liberty and justice for all? Are you feeling that right now? As we fucking shove you into fucking work camps? That it's like, you know, when the Green Party comes along and it's like, social justice, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, specifically what and how?
So let's take a look at some of their notable policies. That's my next exact bullet point, because this is what I actually
I'm actually surprised they have those. So I look forward to
that's what you got to do, though, when you see those words. You got to dig deeper, and, you know.
Most of these are fucking are things that I would agree with. So.
I wanna apologize to all the Japanese Americans in the audience. Somebody actually corrected me in the chat. Yeah, Japanese Americans in the 40s.
Oh no!
It's funny because, like, prior to going live, Animancer was like, I'm kind of high and I'm afraid I'm gonna say something racist. I'm like, are you Chinese or Japanese?
So some of their notable policies are single-payer healthcare, tuition-free college, abolition of the death penalty, banning of private prisons, weed legalization, same-sex marriage. Here's an interesting one some people might not agree with. Cutting aid to Israel and withdrawing foreign aid from anti-LGBT countries.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
You know what? We support too many countries that don't deserve our support. I've touched upon this before. The whole reason for the Israel thing, the only reason that we support Israel is because of fucking
money.
Okay, yes,
money.
But it's cloaked in something more insidious than that, and it's the fucking.
You're right.
It's religious motivation. There's a lot of religious motivation to it. Like, that's why a lot of fucking Republicans and a lot of religious people, especially even Christians that don't particularly like Jews, they defend Israel because they believe that's their Christian duty. They have to, like, how do you think, okay, yes, the government who supports Israel, yeah, they do it for money, but how do you think they convince so many people to support that shit? It's all religiously motivated, at least on the part of the voter that actually votes for those policies. And so yeah,
it's because like the invisible man in the sky who has yet to be proven to exist wants that.
It's never helped us. Like, Israel has never done anything for us. Why are we fucking going to
Jay,
war
have
with
you considered
other
the following argument? Have you considered the following? You're anti-Semitic if you don't.
I'm not anti-Canadian if I say America shouldn't support Canada. I'm not anti-fucking North Korean if I say, look, America, and this might come as a shock to people. America should take care of America first.
I hear conservative-minded people all the time talking about how bad it is that, oh man, immigrants, illegal immigrants in this country get too much for fucking free. We should be putting Americans first. But you guys advocate for all this fucking money going out to fucking Israel, which is a country that has no fucking right getting all this the Israelis live better than us on our money, on our fucking tax money, and that's fucking ridiculous. There's no reason for that. If you want to put America first, don't be a fucking hypocrite and put America first in every single fucking regard if you're gonna be that way. Let's actually put America first and cut all the fucking funding from these shitty fucking countries that don't deserve our fucking help.
Can I just debunk that for 1 second? The notion that, oh, like, we too much money goes to fucking illegal immigrants, and not only like illegal immigrant, because I hear like, oh, the immigrants on welfare and illegals on welfare. Not only are illegal, it's not even possible for an illegal immigrant to get on welfare. It's not even possible for a legal immigrant to get on welfare. For about 5 years after you've officially moved to America, you are not able to apply for any kind of social assistance whatsoever. The person that sponsored you to come live in the United States is completely financially responsible for you, not the government.
I can dislike Israel because of their fucking, you know, military history and fucking imperialistic attitudes, and still like Jewish people. I like their hats.
I supported Bernie Sanders, and I thought, fuck yeah, we would have had the first Jewish president. You know, I'm all for that, but you know what? I don't believe in supporting a country for nothing. I don't believe in just supporting a country because some fucking ancient book of fairy tales told us to.
Hell yeah.
That's all I really have on the Green Party part of things.
Okay, so something that I want to add to the whole social justice thing is, and I've talked quite a bit about this, like on Twitter. Maybe not quite a bit, but I made a tweet about it, I guess. Why I mean, like, if we're in favor of, like, you know, social justice, I mean, legalize all fucking drugs. I'm being serious, because I mean, like, we're talking about like the ability to do like whatever you want with your own being.
Right.
That to me seems like a very like basic foundation on which you can build, like, you know, social justice. Like, hey, your body, your fucking choice.
Andrew Yang should run for the Green Party, dude. I would think, like, I haven't heard him say anything against the Green New Deal.
Yeah, he's one of the people in favor. If I'm reading, let me check this. I have this written down. Yes, Andrew Yang. Yeah, he's come out publicly in favor of the Green New Deal. So.
Chess is saying that Tulsi should run third party just to troll the libs. That was the thing, though. She was accused of that for so long. It was like, she's gonna run third party. Tulsi's gonna run third party, and she's like, I'm not running third party. Like, yes, she is. She's a Russian asset. I'm not.
I think between Bernie, Tulsi, and Yang, she's the least likely to go to the third party. I just don't know why. I just don't see her like going into a third party.
Yeah, which is funny because I mean, like, she used to be really conservative, so it's like she's willing to, you know, switch label depending on her own values.
She could probably be a libertarian, honestly.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. That's an entirely different conversation. You know, maybe we could just do an entire because honestly, I wrote down social justice here. I didn't have a chance to look into every little detail about like everything that I looked up, so I don't really know like what the definition is by. I'll have to look into like what the historical definition of social justice was, especially around the time that these pillars were created. Maybe we'll do an entire episode on that.
I mean, I would imagine that social justice probably aligned pretty closely to what like the civil rights movement was fighting for, if I had to guess.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna have to clarify that if they want to have like any chance of convincing anyone to support them.
That's really what social justice is an offshoot of is like the idea of social, and yeah, social justice warriors are kind of a malignant offshoot. And it's like, you know, every fucking movement goes too far, but you know, I'm more for like, look, if someone claims to be part of a fucking movement and they align with what the movement is actually for, and it's something that I align with, then I'm gonna be for it. And that's why I'm not gonna get into this now, but you know, me and Animancer were talking earlier about the term feminism and why while I don't often append the label to myself, I am a feminist in the classical sense, you know.
I'm more of a
like gender equality.
Liberal.
Yeah, and I'm a feminist. I'm definitely a feminist when it comes to a lot of third world countries. But that doesn't mean that I like the sort of malignant offshoot of feminism that's become prevalent
like
today.
the Tumblr brand feminism, where it's like,
I don't agree with
this
that.
fucking this character somebody drew is like, you know, way too scantily clad, or you know, some dumb shit like that.
Here's the problem, though. I think when we act like feminism itself is cancerous, we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater and saying no.
Well, I'm pro-abortion, so I'm in favor of throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
I mean, it's such a wide ideology that it's like, you know, I mean, like, you could go back in time and find, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like feminism in its like first form, or maybe, you know, early on at least, like, you know, it mainly, or like primarily, or almost like solely focused on the rights of like white women. Yeah. That was like the concern there, and eventually it branded out and expanded to like a more kind of like social justice general form, which, you know, like, I don't, like you, I don't go around calling myself a feminist, but I mean, like, you know, if you boil it down to like the bare definition of it, and if the definition you apply is gender equality, then yeah, sure.
Yeah, And that's why I'm not for just judging people based on the labels they append to themselves, because that basically perpetuates the very problem that leads to people like you, me, and Animancer not wanting to use certain labels. I mean, like, no, I don't want to use labels because they have a negative connotation. So if I recognize the fact that labels have a negative connotation, or that people falsely append a negative connotation to a label, then I don't want to do that myself. So I want to try and give people the benefit of the doubt.
I feel like it's easier to just call yourself like a gender egalitarian.
Sure. But that's the thing. Some people don't understand those terms. Some people think that's antithetical to what they're fighting for, or they don't get, like, and that's why I'd rather just, look at the individual person, what they believe. That's why when we see the term social justice on the fucking page for this party, rather than just assuming what that means, we look into that deeper and say, okay, like, what do they actually mean by that? Nothing from that platform, by the way, leads me to think that they're gonna, fight for, like, criminalizing misuse of gender pronouns and,
I didn't see any of that on their individual policies.
Yeah.
I want to make that clear.
Dude, like, in fucking, like, size 2 font on the bottom of the page is like, P.S. Holocaust 2.0.
Holy shit.
But, dude, that's the problem, and that's one of the things that I think hurt people like AOC the most, where it was certain labels that they're willing to append to themselves, and then people, rather than looking at what those people actually support, they just say, oh my god, this is scary, evil, socialism, far extremism, and it's like, no, it's not. Like, just look at what someone means when they use a term. Don't just use that term as an excuse to not fucking address their actual beliefs, I
mean, again, this is why I prefer gender egalitarian, because, I mean, like, it's such a specific thing to call yourself. It's kind of like, how with atheism, it's like, I'm an atheist. People know, like, okay, you don't believe in God, and that's about it. Beyond that point, you could make assumptions, but you wouldn't really know unless, you had a conversation with me about any given individual issue.
That's the thing, though. Everybody is different, and everyone is at a different place. Everyone has a different level of education.
Sure, I'm talking about, like, the luggage that feminism carries, where there's, like, there's a patriarchy and stuff like that. Because, like, there are people who are, like, in favor of gender equality who just don't believe in those concepts.
One thing I'm going to say about patriarchy, I think it exists to an extent. I wouldn't use the term patriarchy because I don't think it's just male dominated. I think it's more of it's more of an oligarchy. That's the word.
There's not patriarchy, man.
It is. It isn't. It isn't.
They should be using that.
They should be using the term oligarchy. They will. Yeah, like we're just oppressed. The fucking the fucking owner class is basically like.
It's more about class than race, gender, and all these other things that they try and make us split ourselves up over. And that's one of the biggest tools in their toolbox to keep us separated.
That's the thing. A lot of progressives and a lot of so-called SJWs these days actually believe that. And in fact, when we had Sarah on, I was getting the sense that she was kind of coming from a more reasonable place. And it made it harder to actually have a conversation on her level because of those terms that have baggage. So it ended up... Now, I'm not going to say I agreed with everything she was saying, but there's definitely something there. There's definitely a common ground that we can reach where it's like, look, I think we're all on the same side. What we need in this country, and in what I think every country, is direct democracy, where we vote on individual issues. We have every 4 years, rather than voting for a person and just hoping and wishing and praying that, they're gonna fucking do what we elected them to do. We let the people vote on all the individual issues: gay marriage, abortion, legalizing marijuana, fucking Medicare for all, free college, all of these things. Let people vote. Ending individual wars. Do we want to end this conflict? Do we want to, whatever? Like, let the people vote on those things. and then the will of the people is actually, rather than having to put our faith into individual people, rather than having to vote for individuals with a prepackaged set of beliefs and hope, it's like the fucking bullshit. It's like the cable company bullshit, dude. Well, like, you want this channel? Oh, well, you have to buy 50 other channels that you don't want. It's like, well, why can't I just have this one thing that I actually want? Nope, doesn't work that way. You have to get this prepackaged fucking, you have to get the Joe Biden package. What, you don't want a border wall, and you don't want immigration to be fucking restricted more, and you don't want racist policies? Well then you have to vote for the Joe Biden package. Oh, you want abortion to be legal? Yeah, you have to vote for the Joe Biden package. What, you don't like?
Yeah, I hate that shit, man. I really do hate that.
You don't like corporate bailouts and vetoing Medicare and shit like that? Well, fuck you, dude. You want fucking those specific policies, you gotta vote Joe Biden. It's fucking bullshit. I don't think we should be restricted to even, like, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party. I think it should be way broader than that. I think every election should let us vote on every individual issue. And the fucked up thing is, some states actually have that. That actually exists here in New Mexico. That you can vote on individual certain issues statewide. And it's like, why the fuck is that just not how democracy works, like, on a national level for fucking...
Because they want to repress our votes, obviously.
Obviously.
So, we've been an hour in this, and we haven't even gotten to the fucking second page, so...
Oh shit.
Howie Hawkins. So this is the guy who's probably going to win the Green nomination. They have primaries just like any other fucking party. I've looked into him. The more I look into the guy, the more I've liked about him. My opinion on him went really far up when I saw that he invited Kyle to have a conversation, because that's really cool. But I looked into a little bit of his past and shit. One thing I noticed is that his father was like a total fucking badass. He was an attorney who was also a football and wrestling student athlete, who also happened to serve in counterintelligence for the Manhattan Project, which, if you don't know, was how nuclear fucking weapons got developed.
Yeah, it kind of beats my resume, where there's like, I worked at a call center and that's it.
So Howie himself, he got into politics age 12 because he saw how multiracial state Democratic parties were being repressed by the National Democratic Party in like 1964. Zoom ahead all the way to 1972. He campaigns for Bernie Sanders for Senate and governor, who was at that time running as a member of the Liberty Union Party, which was a Democratic Socialist Party. It was actually a third party. So yeah, Bernie ran for a third party for a good amount of time there.
And a socialist party, nonetheless.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Bernie was actually the fucking chairman of that party before he resigned due to the inactivity of the party between elections. So basically, they weren't doing any activism or any other things that he wanted to be involved in. So he just moved on to being an independent.
In his experience, there's passion behind it, but it doesn't result in anything.
Yeah, I feel like that is how a lot of people burn out. No pun intended on the idea. Fuck off. No, I didn't even mean to do that. I didn't realize that.
Oh, you didn't fight? Yeah, okay.
Let's see what's next. Hawkins joined the Green movement in the 80s, and eventually he, alongside a dude named Mike Feinstein, drafted a plan. In the 80s, basically, they were drafting the plans for the current Green Party that we have today. So he's been involved in this for a very long time. He was one of the fucking co-founders. He's been trying to win the nomination for several of the other like smaller third parties in the United States. I believe that he's actually already won one. Yeah, there's a socialist party here in the United States. It's not that big, but he's already won their nomination. So he's trying to actually win the nomination of multiple parties so that he can like democratically like pull them all together and be like, okay, we need to unite under one single political party and try and get, some real progress, which I think is interesting. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's...
I feel like if it actually succeeds, it's going to fall victim to the same thing as the two-party system, where it's like, you have a fucking, like people joining forces, but at the same time compromising their values.
They agree on most things, so what they would work on most collectively is what they have in common.
Right, but they would need a lot of people, and eventually, like at some point, you're gonna have like at least half the people supporting that party doing so out of like, well, I kind of have to.
That's the thing,
best
though.
Thing I can support.
That's the thing, though. With any collaboration, there's gonna be compromise. And
yeah, there's different wings of the parties we have now, obviously.
Right.
So.
But I mean, that's kind of the situation we're stuck in now, where it's like, oh, well, I kind of have to vote Democrat. At least this way, there would be 3 parties. Or if there's a libertarian party,
I'm not against
parties.
this idea, by the way. I'm just saying that I think it's gonna, history's gonna repeat itself.
Sure,
if it actually succeeds, which I don't think it will.
I think more parties are better than less. Like, so if there's gonna if we have to get a bunch of really tiny parties together that'll create one party that'll actually have a chance at being a third party, then it's something you have to do. Because anytime you have collaboration, there's going to be compromise. Like Animancer said, most of the people agree on most issues, right? I mean, even Democrats and Republicans agree on a lot of shit. Like, we just don't have a party that represents those fucking things that we actually agree on. We have 2 establishment parties. So if we have...
who only want to pander to their pet issues.
Right.
Exactly.
If we have a party that's going to appeal to what people actually want, then we might have to compromise. We won't get everything we want in that one party, but it's a hell of a lot better than what we have now, where it's the opposite, dude. It's like the majority of the issues that these politicians are for is stuff that we're staunchly against, but we have to vote for them because of the couple pet issues that we actually agree with them on. I'd rather have the reverse, where we agree with them on most shit and we have to compromise on a few minor issues.
That's why we need to take a more individualistic approach when it comes to ideas, and not just, like you said, like there shouldn't be these fucking big cable packages of ideologies.
Right. I think eventually that's going to happen either way.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather try something new.
Here's the thing, though. Like, take Sweden, for instance. We have a fuck ton of political parties. Most people, like 99% of people who vote, I mean, like, they have some shit they compromise their values on. Actually, where it's like, okay, I don't like this, but I'm gonna have to look aside from that and just focus on like this thing that I want them to do.
There's almost always gonna be some compromise.
I'm actually curious. Yeah. Do they more? Is it closer to a 2-party? Like, I know there's multiple, but is it 2 parties that dominate for the most part?
No. It's more like a 5 or 6 party system.
And does it swing between all 5 or 6 of them, or are that?
Yes.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
It does. Actually, it's swinging towards that more like conservative,
See, the thing about Canada, because we have third parties in Canada, but it mostly swings between the main 2, and it's only gone to a third party like a handful of times over Canada's entire existence.
Yeah, actually, the Sweden Democrats, they're like the first, because I mean, like they're like the patriotic kind of, not nationalist, but conservative, closed borders kind of party.
Yeah.
They're actually like the first party, at least like as far as I've been alive, that I can recall going from being kind of like fringe to being, one of the main players in the political system.
See, and that's
like it's possible that, like a party that a lot of people frown upon, can eventually refine its image to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, now they're mainstream.
Right.
I don't think you should have like a multiple party system. You should just have direct democracy. But I mean, like that's the really closest thing you can get.
Direct democracy anytime soon. I mean, I think that's a good stepping stone towards it. I mean, there are people who believe it. I think Andrew Yang even said something about it.
But even our first fucking president, George Washington, hated political parties. Never forget that.
So that's actually that's actually a very powerful point that I don't want to just gloss over. That's actually something to remember. Yeah, George Washington even didn't like the political parties, and our founding fathers believed that the Constitution should be changed every 20 years.
Okay, so Hawkins disagrees with the party within a party approach to the Democratic Party, which is basically disagreeing with how Bernie Sanders is trying to like reform it. He thinks that people need to make an entirely new party or embrace another one of the smaller third parties, which I think it's bullshit. You can't reform the Democrats.
Maybe not always.
The Justice Democrats are forming a super PAC. That they were our one chance to make change in that party, and they fucking sold out. They sold out. They fucking sold out. So I don't know how else to put it, man.
I don't know what that means though. Like, what kind of super PAC? Is it inherently bad?
I mean, like the fact that like any kind of political movement has to have support from the rich elite behind it. I mean, like I think that just goes to show that it's
I am disappointed in them because that was the thing that they don't take big money. But where is the money coming from? Like that might be worth
Jeff Bezos.
If it's Jeff Bezos, then fuck them.
I don't know. It's probably like Madonna.
I think it's worth looking into deeper, but rather than just making a judgment right off the bat. But hey, maybe I'll look into it before the next show.
On April 16th, 2020, which is just about under a month ago. His official campaign account got suspended due to an alleged violation of the site's impersonation policy, but he was never given any explanation on how it was violated. It was restored about half a month later. He only got it restored a few days ago.
I mean, dude, Twitter sucks. We know Twitter sucks. I mean, like the fucking meme, Jack is jacking off, yo. That's all this platform. This platform is a big fucking circle jerk for the elites. It's a fucking, it's a big club and you ain't in it. The blue checkmark club. That's really what Twitter exists for. Twitter doesn't exist for those of us who are on here, trying to get our own views out there or trying to interact with people. No. Twitter exists for the fucking elite. Same like the government. It exists for, and the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. It exists for the elites to fucking use for whatever they want and to control the masses. We don't get a say.
It also exists for corporations, so they have a place where they can pretend to have even a shred of humanity. And I mean, Twitter initially was kind of I'm gonna just tell people what I'm doing right now kind of platform, and people mocked that heavily.
Yeah, and now,
but now that it actually has some functionality for people, and as far as political discussion and shit.
It's the primary platform of our fucking president to communicate with the American people.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I think that's the problem though, because the minute it became a platform that the president used, it turned into something that it wasn't just a thing that anyone could become big on, or I feel like the slowly an invisible barrier, the same one that probably exists on YouTube, started to be built between the plebs and the people that actually matter on Twitter, and becoming. I mean, there's people who are fucking big on YouTube.
Dude.
I mean, there's people that we know that should probably be verified on Twitter that aren't.
Jay.
Yeah.
That's the only successful wall Trump's ever built.
That's true, dude. The fucking wall between the blue check marks and the plebs.
We'll do an entire fucking episode on how shitty Twitter is at some point. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's funny because I went through this tedious process of getting verified on YouTube, and then I thought to myself, should I do the same for Twitter? And then I was like, no, I feel ashamed just for considering doing that.
Sorry, you can't apply.
But you should be qualified for Twitter verification. Hey, I have a fucking YouTube audience. I want my fucking audience to know that I'm the real, person on Twitter. That this is my why shouldn't there be why shouldn't SWEGTA have a blue check mark to say, yeah, this is the real SWEGTA account and not someone pretending to be him?
I have something important to tell you. This is going to blow your fucking mind. The public submissions for being Twitter verified, they've been closed for quite a while. Want to know when they were last open, SWEGTA?
2016?
November 15th, 2017.
Wow. All right, well, close but no cigar. Why is it closed? Why are you closed?
Jack has been jacking off for 3 years, dude.
Yeah, dude, he's a fucking jackass. Fuck you, Jack. Fuck you, Jack.
Yeah, dude, fuck
Hit
Jack.
the road, Jack.
All right.
Fuck Jack and fuck Susan while we're at it.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I need the ad revenue I make to survive. So
I didn't
Susan,
say which
I love
Susan.
you. You have my approval.
I didn't say which Susan.
To kind of play into our last fucking section here, he's actually the first person to run for office to include the Green New Deal in part of their platform. So that is a feat that Howie Hawkins has. Yeah. Which is pretty impressive because now the Green New Deal is not just something that his party's talking about. It's something the Democrats are pushing too, or at least a lot of them are, which is really cool. Okay, so that brings us into the Green New Deal. Starting in 2006, the Green New Deal was created by the Green New Deal Task Force, amazingly creative name there, as a plan for a 100% clean renewable energy by 2030.
You know why that's funny? The same reason it's not gonna happen is because it's fucking been smeared by ignorant fucking retards ever since, who know nothing and just be like, oh, Green New Deal they want to ban airplanes. Yeah, like Tim Pool. Yep, like Tim Pool and Sargon. Fuck both those people.
By the way, I haven't looked into climate change. But, fuck Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, I haven't looked into climate change, but fuck the Green New Deal.
what I mentioned earlier, that Green New Deal task force, it eventually led to the writing of a report released in the United Kingdom, which was the first thing to really include proper proposals to tackle global warming, the current financial crisis, which was in 2008, and peak oil. It's funny now too, because now that there's another financial crisis going on, there's being more calls. So yeah, for 6 years there was really just talk about it. It wasn't until 2012 where the U.S. Green Party proposed their own version of the Green New Deal. Howie Hawkins, Jill Stein, and others have run it. Basically, anyone that they've been pushing has been in favor of the Green New Deal. After the 2018 midterm elections, progressive members of the Democratic Party began to utilize the term Green New Deal, the most notorious of which is AOC, and she created her own version of the Green New Deal, which is different than the Green Party's proposal, but it's similar in a lot of other ways. And she actually proposed that deal alongside Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey, which is one of my senators. Democrats are beginning to push it too, which is, I don't know. It's funny that one of the fucking mainstream parties is trying to pick up something that from a third party. Like, it's almost like they have something interesting to say that resonates with the American people.
See, if Joe Biden could just get on the fucking Green New Deal bandwagon, maybe he'd be worth voting for.
Here's some people who have come out in support of the Green New Deal. Andrew Yang, Elizabeth Warren, Christine Gillibrand, that lady who was running and no one cares about.
Is it Kirsten or Christine?
Bernie Sanders, obviously, Amy Klobuchar, Andrew Cuomo, and
Really?
apparently Joe Biden.
Really?
Apparently Joe Biden.
I have a question, because I was gonna bring this up, but then I realized that it's mean. But fuck it. I mean, does Joe Biden have the mental capacity to understand what this entails? Like, does he understand what the fuck the Green New Deal is?
I don't think so.
No, probably not.
What? They want to make socialism. They want to bring whatever. I guess I have to vote for this because my constituents
have
want
you
me to.
listened to Joe Biden trying to get through a sentence that relates to the environment or any kind of change in the political system?
My hair legs. I mean, just because he comes out and says it, though, it doesn't mean that, because it's fucking Joe Biden.
Doesn't mean that he said it. Like, what?
No, it doesn't mean that he actually means it. You know what I mean?
You mean the Green New Deal?
Okay. He's like, it's 4D chess trolling. He's memeing.
He's just trying to appeal to people under the promise of something he's not going to give.
Yeah. That's why, I don't trust him, dude. Obama ran on fucking change, and what change did we get? We got a fucking shitty deal that led to Trump.
Yeah, you got a fucking mandate for buying health insurance too, which originated from a conservative think tank.
Dude, all we fucking want is single payer healthcare. It's such a fucking foregone conclusion in other countries where it's just like, yep, that's just what, single payer, yeah, or at least public option, yeah, of course. Like, what, private healthcare, what? Other countries look at us and laugh and say, what do you mean private healthcare?
The first time I heard, an American talk about, deductibles, I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I looked it up, and I'm like, is that an actual thing?
Yeah, I was too. I didn't get it at first, too, because for me, it was like, yeah, you just go to the fucking hospital. You're sick, you go to the hospital,
Yeah.
They don't charge you shit.
I went to the hospital twice this fucking year, or not even twice, a fuck ton of times, because I had
we need more
fucking disgusting.
I agree we need more than single payer, but it is a start, and
yeah,
I'll take anything other than the bullshit system we have now.
I mean, it's going to be a bullshit system, but it's going to be rebranded. Essentially, what you have is, the normie peon pleb class gets, mediocre care, and the rich elite, they get actual good health care.
Dude, we're gonna give you Biden care, dude. It's just mandated insurance, so you just have to pay us money, and then we pretend like we're helping you. It's called Biden care.
I bet they'd call it Obama Biden care or something.
They're gonna call it Obamacare 2.0.
Dude, they can't call it Biden care because we all know Biden doesn't give a shit.
Biden care, yeah, that's an oxymoron.
Yeah, so for the longest time, the Green New Deal was mostly a conversation that was going on here in America. But over in the UK, the Labour Party committed to a Green New Deal at its 2019 annual conference, with plans to decarbonize by 2030.
Once again, ahead of us.
Yeah. They're the only major political party in Europe and North America to have it part of their official platform. Well, I mean, here's the thing, man. You're right, but the Labour Party has been getting slaughtered in the UK consistently since 2005.
That's because dude, the fucking wait, the Labour Party is the liberal one, right?
Well, no, there's the Labor Party and then there's the Liberal Democrats.
Oh.
And then there's the Conservatives. They have 2 left-wing parties.
Oh. Well, because see, the fucking liberals in the UK have fucking they're a perfect example of the fucking the SJWs that have gone too far. They've attached themselves to that ideology, and it's hurt them. It's hurt them from like regular people who just don't want to fucking engage in this id poll nonsense, in this oppression Olympics shit. You know, now people like Sargon can now smear the entire left ideology because of a few fucking dumb ideas they have, and it hurts their entire fucking cause.
So in April 2020, so just last month, the European Parliament called to include the European Green New Deal in the recovery program from the health pandemic. So yeah, the entire EU is trying to push a Green New Deal now, which is
dope.
Pretty crazy, just because of this health pandemic that we've been going through. It's funny that it took that for people to wake up on so many issues that are important.
I love how the EU is trying to push a Green New Deal in the face of this crisis. Meanwhile, America is trying to bail out corporations and, not cooperate with other countries like China for vaccines, and just put our foot down and our fucking fingers in our ears and be like, no, we're America, fuck everyone else. Other countries are uniting to do something good in the face of this crisis, while, American CEOs are looting the coffers right in the face of the suffering American public. Makes me sick, yo.
And I'm proud to be an American. Yeah.
So that was a fun time. That was a good first episode.
I enjoyed this episode. If the audience did, let us know in the comments. Should we give them a hint on one of the next episodes we have planned?
I think one of the next ones we have. We should just do the labels episode next. I'll do some research and prepare my points.
Dope.
All right. Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, Teddy.
I was just gonna say, like, the fuck am I, Teddy Rubskin now?
By the way, I don't think we've talked about this on a main Underhaven since we've done one, but Animancer has fucking reached his goal for the fucking PC, and yeah, he's gonna be getting that fucking PC finally. So a lot of fucking changes are coming to Underhaven, and shit's gonna be fucking dope. And
solo streams, call-in shows, new fucking series, all shit off the top of my fucking dome. Maybe we'll even do a fucking tabletop D&D style thing. Yeah. Woo. Okay, play the Von Helton thing. I want to hear it.
Okay, here's why Underhaven no longer exists on Twitch.